Since everyone liked the first video so much, I'm doing a sequel.
We're doing a sequel.
So here are more cartoons that changed their art style. Once again, I'll be talking about shows that had their art style changed during their run, going from one season to another where the style is noticeably changed, whether gradually or through a completely jarring overhaul. Let's take a look at 5 more shows. Probably the most suggested and asked for show to talk about it for its style change was The Amazing World of Gumball. And after looking more into it, yeah, it changed a lot over the span of its 6 seasons. The first change was the transition between season 1 and 2, and then again from season 3 onward. It felt like the artists were getting more comfortable with the character designs. From what I found, they changed the art style to improve expression to make the animation process easier, especially with the huge workload, and clean up the overall look, something that tends to happen when the show runs for many years. Another reason was that the characters aged along with their voice actors, who were replaced several times due to the aging, but it all seemed to fit together, and they tried their best to make it a smooth transition between each season. When the topic of changing art styles comes up, Gumball definitely gets brought up the most. I think it's because the show already featured so many different art styles from the start, so it's kind of a triumph that they kept evolving and pushing the limits of what they can do with this show. With new Gumball content coming soon, we'll just see how much the style changes from the older seasons. Next up, we've got The Fairly Odd Parents, a show that, if you don't know, ran for a long time. About 10 seasons, plus spin-offs, movies, and specials, and even a sequel series. But we're focusing on the original series and how its art style changed over time. The show started in the early 2000s, right around the end of the traditional animation. So the first season had that charming hand-drawn look. In later seasons, they switched to digital ink and paint. A few seasons later, it went to HD with a much crisper, more polished look. Though admittedly, the show overall quality dropped during that time. In its last season, about halfway through, they switched to flash animation, and I can't imagine how jarring that must have been to people. The final handful of episodes to suddenly just switch to flash after all these years of a consistent style, it's just such a weird thing to do. It's not the worst animation I've ever seen, but it was clear they were trying to save money wherever they could by that point. The show had run way past its prime and probably needed to end then and there. It kind of felt like it had been through the ringer and wanted to take itself out. At least the new series looks fresher and adapts the style in a 3D setting. Pokémon Sun and Moon is a very popular example when talking about art style changes, specifically this season, which kicked off the 20th season of the Pokémon anime. Of course, even outside this one, the show had many styles and evolution over time, but people mainly focus on Sun and Moon because of the dramatic shift to a softer, more cartoonish look, compared to the more angular and sharp style from before. There's no official reason for the change, but from what I could find, it seems like they wanted the art to match the tone of Sun and Moon. The setting in Alola is based on Hawaii, with the sunny skies and tropical vibes, so there's more rounded, expressive art that fits the style. Despite some of the more dramatic moments, the season still gives off the feel of a bright summer day. Now, about Ash's design. Yeah, it's different, but honestly, I've seen way worse redesigns. As someone who's watched the series entirely, I just got used to it pretty fast. That said, it is very jarring when switching straight from X and Y to Sun and Moon. At the very least, he does look younger, and a simpler design allows for much more expressive animation for the characters themselves. Not just Ash, but the whole cast. Some don't vibe with that, but I'm okay with it. Anyone remember Chaotic? It was basically a trading card game show where characters could transport into the game and become the cards itself, interacting with creatures and collecting new ones. A really cool concept, though it never quite reached the popularity of its competitors. Season 1 was animated by Bardell Entertainment. It had a simplified, well-done art style that a lot of people got quickly used to. But when Season 2 began, the animation changed without warning, and many fans were completely thrown off. It was now animated by Dongwoo Animation, a Korean studio, that gave the show more of a anime-like look. Given how long the first season was, I totally get why people didn't like the sudden change. I know I personally fell off the show around then too. Looking back now, the animation in the later seasons is still good, especially in terms of detail and action, but I get how characters could feel stiff during their regular dialogue scenes. The change likely came from a bigger budget after season 1's success, but another reason people had negative reactions was when it happened, the story was getting really interesting, and then bam, the next episode looks like a completely different show. For a kid, that could be super confusing. Still, for those who stuck with it, the new style stuck around through season 3. Our final show is another long-running Nickelodeon classic, Rugrats. It lasted for 9 seasons, and its original art style is a nostalgic overload for me. You can definitely tell it was made in the 90s with the hand-drawn cel animated look, and honestly, the flaws are a part of its charm. I'd say the art style's most notable shift was around season 7, after the second movie, and after they added Kimmy to the main cast. That's when the show transitioned from traditional cel animation to digital animation. The colors got more vibrant and the character designs became sleeker. A lot of people say the show wasn't the same by its later seasons, and that's probably true. Long-running shows tend to lose their steam. I haven't watched Rugrats in a long time, so I can't say for sure. As for the animation change, I personally don't mind it at all. I get why some fans don't like it, and seeing a show change its look after being one way for so long is pretty jarring. But I think the newer animation looks more appealing. If I hadn't grown up with the show, with the older animation, I'm not sure it would have drawn me in. Some fans say it's lost its identity when the style got cleaned up, and I get that. But I always see the first season as a starting point. Shows often evolve and find their rhythm over time, especially when they run as long as Rugrats did. And that was 5 more cartoons that changed their art styles. Did you like the changes these shows went through? Are there other shows with art style changes that you liked or didn't like? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't seen my first video on the topic, go check that one out. If there are any more shows or topics you want me to cover, feel free to drop suggestions.